And it's normal. Like, it literally is a normal feeling when you are experiencing loss, when things are out of your control, to just feel out of control and have to just be okay with not being in control. So I know that some of you guys may be thinking, has it really taken a pandemic for LaSandra to have the time to sit down and make another YouTube video? Yes. Yes, it has. So I'm LaSandra. Welcome back to Grace and Grief. If this is your first time visiting the channel, welcome. If you have visited the channel before, welcome back. I started this YouTube channel a little bit over 2 years ago now, when my husband passed away due to a heart condition. And I really started the channel to basically document my grief process. And I also started a online community and blog. If you're not following me on Instagram, you can check me out and follow me. It's at Grace and Grief, or you can go to graceandgrief.com. We are in the midst of a pandemic. Make sure this video is straight. A lot of our states are shut down due to the coronavirus, and I just think for many of us it's a really crazy time. A lot of our lives are in just an upheaval, and I'm working from home, my kids are home. They're supposed to be doing either homework packets or online learning, and so just all of our norms are disrupted. And I think that people have all kinds of emotions right now, and feel all kinds of ways. But I know that fear has been a big issue for many people. But in terms of I think fear has been a big issue for many people, but I think also, especially for those of us who have experienced loss, I think just any time that there's a loss of control, you can be triggered, easily triggered, and easily feel very just fearful, agitated, lots of anxiety, wanting to know what's being done, what's happening, what's gonna happen, where are we going. And the reality is that no one has a lot of those answers. And so we're in one of those situations where we have to some extent relinquish our control and let go of our control, and our need to know, and our need to be able to control every area of our lives. And there has to be some level of just trust that it's going to be okay, that we can't figure out every detail. We don't know exactly what tomorrow is going to hold, but we believe that we're going to be okay, and that God is going to keep us, that God is going to keep our loved ones, that God is in control, that God is going to somehow work this together for our good. And I mean, I think that just collectively, especially those of us that are people of faith, whatever our faith may be, this is a moment where we need to really hold on to our faith. So I personally, have been, just as a widow and just in my journey as a widow, kind of like in the same place, actually, just as a person, disconnected from the coronavirus issue. And I wanted to share a little bit about just some of the things I feel like God has been dealing with me about in terms of letting go. Like, I think that I'm the kind of person that I like to have a plan. Like, I had a friend whose mom had a day timer when I was like 9 or 10. And I begged my mom, like, can I please have a day timer planner? And I don't know what it was. Like, I'm still a planner nerd. Like, I use the Happy Planner. I have all my stickers. I have my markers. I have friends where we're like hardcore planner nerds. And I've always loved to keep a planner and a calendar, and just even the the whole act of planning is like a hobby to me, and I like to know where I'm going. I like to have a plan. And so for me, even though it's been not even 2.5 years, but 2 years and like a little over 2 years after, since the loss of my husband, and I've done a lot. Like I can own that I have come a long way. I've grown a lot. Founding Grace and Grief, keeping that up, really, really like pushing myself in writing, having the Rebirth Conference. Grace and Grief hosted an annual conference, and it's called the Rebirth Conference. I've actually started working full time as well at a nonprofit doing domestic violence work, which was something I was doing prior to my husband passing away. And I had took a break while I was in graduate school, but now I'm back to that work. And so I'm juggling solo parenting, full-time nonprofit work, full-time social entrepreneurship, grief work, and grief in general, and just this life as a widow. So it's a lot, there's a lot of growth and there's a lot that I've done, but sometimes I can still be very agitated, that I'm not further along. Like I still feel like, but I want to feel different, and I want to feel like I have things under more control. I want to feel like I have more control over things. I want to feel more enthusiastic, because even to be quite honest, even though I do a lot, that sense of eagerness, that sense of enthusiasm, I still struggle. Maybe not as much as I did in the beginning, but it's definitely still an issue, like the loss of passion, the loss of ambition, maybe sometimes like the loss of expectation. And I think that it's something I have to kind of fight for, or I have to kind of sit down and allow myself to feel some level of disappointment or grief in order to authentically build myself back up to a place where I can say, okay, I'm passionate about this, or this is why I'm going to keep going, or this is why I'm going to keep building this, or this is why I'm going to keep pursuing that. And I literally have to go through a lot of steps to kind of stay focused on that. And it's something I was talking to my counselor about, and she was just saying, LaSandra, you have to take yourself off of this timeline. And I didn't want to hear that. Like I really don't want to hear that, because I'm like, no, I need to be on the timeline, I'm like, no, I need to be on the timeline. Like I don't want to take myself off of the timeline. But, she was just pointing out, like, you always have this timeline, which makes you feel behind, and you're really not giving yourself enough grace to walk this out, because the transition of, I've been married for 13 years, I was friends with this person for 20 years, into I'm now a single, widowed mom, and all the whatever that means is so huge and so abrupt and so enormous. She was saying even 2 years is not that long to really get comfortable with that, to figure all of that out. Like it's gonna take time. Like you have to give yourself the time to emotionally catch up and spiritually catch up, and just in every way. And so, I received that. That's going to take some like intentional effort on my part, to just kind of like tell myself it's okay. We're not on a timeline. Because I think a lot of times when you have to start over again, you may feel behind. And just feel like you wish you were further along. And so I think that there's a lot of just letting go of control, and surrendering and accepting things are different. They're not going to be what they are. They are frustrating. It is new. I have to make a cognitive leap that is really huge. I can't do that overnight. I can't even fully do it in 2 years. I can't fully do it in 2 years. I think that's the reality of what I'm coming to. Like I can't fully process what does this all mean for me. And that's crazy. Like, that's crazy that it astounds me still how hard it is to process this and to even try to figure out, what does this mean for me? What do I do? What do I want to do? What needs to happen? Like, how do I walk all of this out? How do I continue to show up in the long run? How do I, connect all the dots? Like, it's just amazing how huge it is. And so I just want to say that to say, like, I don't know if you feel that way. Maybe someone watching this video may feel that way and can identify, but I just want to say, like, you're not alone. I feel the same way. And it's normal. Like, it literally is a normal feeling when you are experiencing loss, when things are out of your control, to just feel out of control and have to just be okay with not being in control, and to be okay with somehow being in a transition that may last a long time. Or I follow Love Michelle Anna on YouTube. If you're not following her, you should follow her. She's been a major inspiration in my life. And she uploaded a video about coming into her new apartment. And so if you're not following her, you can check it out. I'm going to link it below. But I was so blessed by her video because it's been 3 years since she had to leave the apartment that her and her husband, her late husband, lived in. And now, after 3 years, God has blessed her to finally have her own place. And so it's a whole testimony. It's amazing. Like, I was really emotional watching it because I could identify with just the loss and the disappointment. But then for God to come through and restore this area of her life, I just was like, wow. It reminded me, like, you may be waiting on certain things to happen, but your time is coming. Like, your time for certain things is going to come. Hallelujah. That just encouraged me. I just encouraged myself. I mean, seriously, like, we have to trust. Like, there are things I'm still waiting on, and some of them are very internal, emotional, spiritual things that maybe I feel like were once there that I don't necessarily have a handle on as strong. And I hope that makes sense. Not to say I'm in a bad place, but I'm just in a process. It's just a different place. But just to know that, like, my time is coming and that God is gonna restore. And I mean, for you, it may be joy. It may be a sense of, fulfillment. It may be, love. It may be relationships. It may be a place of residence or opportunities. It may be health, regardless of, it may be something related to your career or your purpose. But I think it takes some patience. There's a scripture that says, by faith and patience we inherit the promises of God. And it takes our faith, but it also takes patience to continue to not be weary. The scripture says, don't be weary in well doing, for in due season you're going to reap if you don't faint. And I think that even talking to my counselor helped me to see, like, I'm planting seeds. Like, I'm not necessarily in a harvest time. Like, when my husband passed away, I think I was reaping. I think in some ways I reaped a harvest of, like, seeds planted long ago by him and myself. But in many ways, in this new life that I'm at a foundational time where I am planting the seeds and tilling the ground and, doing the things that I believe I'm supposed to do so that I can reap a harvest later, and that I can see the fruit of my labor later. And there's a scripture too. I wanted to read this for you guys in John 12:24. This really blessed me when I thought about it too. It says, verily I tell you, unless a kernel of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains only a single seed. But if it dies, it produces many seeds. And another version says, if it dies, it bears much fruit. And I was even reflecting on just the fact that sometimes I'm like, Lord, you have had me have to start over again in so many different ways, in so many different seasons of my life. Like where I felt like the rug has been pulled up from up under me and now I got to start over. And as I was thinking about that, I was thinking to myself, like, yeah, but every time you had to start over, some kind of way, God allowed whatever the pain or the loss or the grief was in starting over. Somehow he would like, somehow that would turn into fruit. Like that would turn into like a revelation about something that I hadn't seen before, or a deeper understanding of myself, or a deeper understanding of my life or my relationships, or it would change something in me that needed to change, or it would birth something out of me that needed to be birthed. The situation would like pull it out of me. Or it would kind of push me to go after something that I wouldn't have gone after if I had been comfortable and had been able to remain comfortable. And so I can see how every round has gone higher and higher, even though there's been times where I felt like, dang, I just lost everything. I had to start over again. Or I just reached, this place where I feel like I'm grieving and I have to start from scratch in my faith, or even like it has felt like I've had to start from scratch in my walk with God at certain points, in my finances, in my career, in my health, in my marriage. But at every round, we went higher and higher. Like I can see how every shift or every start over time was really me going from glory to glory. And I think that God is trying to help me not be afraid. That's so hard. But like, not to despise starting over, not to despise beginning again. And almost like just accepting it as a part of life. Like in this life, we may have to begin again many times. And it may not be in the same way or in the same area of life, but that beginning again is really maybe the process of like a grain of wheat in our life dying so that it can produce more fruit. I hope I'm making sense. I wanted to just share. I just wanted to share. I mean, obviously, we're all home. Obviously, I think being home also creates more mental, emotional space to think and to process. And I think that maybe all of us are feeling that way to some extent. So I wanted to offer this to you while you're home, while you're maybe thinking, while you're processing. I wanted to say hi. I wanted to let you know I'm still around. Again, follow me at Grace and Grief on Instagram, or check out graceandgrief.com for more updates, and subscribe below, hit the bell. Let me know in the comment section again if there are just video topics. Like, I'm pretty transparent. Like I'm pretty transparent. I'm pretty open. I like to talk. If you know me in real life, if you know me, then you're like, Sandra likes to talk. So if you know me in real life, I like to talk, and I don't mind sharing and connecting with you guys. And I don't mind sharing. So I want to connect with you guys, and it is hard. It's more challenging now that I'm working at the nonprofit. But I'm learning how to integrate everything slowly into my life so that I can keep moving all aspects of it forward without getting overwhelmed. And I feel like it's an art, and it takes some time and intentionality, but I'm getting there. So I pray that everyone is safe. I pray that you're well. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.